Okay, this is the vlog for July 6th. And today is the third time this year that I left my windows in my car down and then it rained. Now, it rained this morning, but I thought I remember checking the forecast yesterday and seeing no rain in the foreseeable future at all. And then it rained last night and it rained this morning. My windows were up last night, but they were down a little bit um, this afternoon when it rained the second time, so I had to run out. I ended up getting wetter than the inside of my car because it was pouring for a few minutes. But that's just the a tiny bit of the day. Um, so years ago, I picked up, I believe it was Magic the Gathering Duels of the Planeswalkers 2013. It was just, I remember it showing up as Magic 2013 in Steam, but I picked it up right at the end of its life cycle, to the point where the following month, Magic 2014 came out. I had a lot of fun in that 1 month before 2014. I played a lot of Magic, and the structure of the game was such that I didn't have to be a guru at making decks to succeed, because the campaign story, whatever you want to call it, mode was set up as sort of like a series of puzzles almost. So each deck that you fought against had a sort of theme, and if you could figure out the theme and figure out how the AI was playing it, you could sort of break up its rhythm and succeed, which was really cool. I like, in a lot of video games you have bosses that are essentially puzzles with a solution, but some other games treat bosses as just big HP sponges. You wail on them and they wail on you, and eventually they go down. But the only reason they're a boss is that they do a little bit more damage and take a lot more damage to kill. But games such as like Zelda bosses are very much puzzles. You have to use certain equipment, usually that you find in the dungeon where the boss is located. You have to notice patterns and overcome those patterns. Mega Man bosses are also sort of puzzles, especially since each one has a weapon that is extra effective against it. And so part of the puzzle is figuring out which weapon that is, and then the other part of the puzzle is learning the boss's patterns and moving in order to avoid them. There are no bosses in a Mega Man game where you just stand and shoot, and he just stands and shoots, and whichever one of you runs out of life first is the winner. At least there shouldn't be. So having decks that sort of have that puzzle element to them that you can solve and beat and feel very clever about yourself, especially since I'm not very good at Magic. I've never been very good at Magic, but I had a lot of fun playing this game because of the way this worked out. Well, that went away in a pretty big way in the sequel that came out the next year. For starters, you had to basically make a deck from the ground up instead of being able to choose one of these starting decks and then being able to purchase other starting decks to sort of give yourself more options as you progressed. Instead, you were amassing a collection of cards, and you were sort of suggested to use certain cards in certain combinations, and it didn't work particularly well. Or at least my decks never worked particularly well. So I had a lot less fun with that, and eventually just put it away. But I had a weird hankering. I remember playing it in like May or June, the year I was playing it. And so I sort of associate this time of year and this sort of weather with that kind of game, where it's more about color and sort of spectacle than like dark, grim, story-driven games. So I picked up Magic Duels, or rather I installed Magic Duels since it's a free-to-play game. And it definitely is a Magic game, but I wasn't sure how close it was to the format of that Magic 2013 or 2014 game. So I wanted to give it a try. Well, It starts me off with suggesting I do story mode. In fact, if I try and go straight into battle, it strongly urges me to do story mode. So I went and tried to do story mode. And after doing the first 2 tutorials, I got a bug that blocked my progression through the game on the 3rd tutorial. The first tutorial teaches you that you can zoom in on a card by scrolling the mouse wheel when you're hovering over the card. The second tutorial shows you how to attack, and the 3rd tutorial is supposed to teach you how to block. I'm bad at Magic, but I understand that when monsters attack me, I should use a monster to block. I get that. The problem was, it always put 2 different green monsters, I think a Crawworm, which is a 6/4 green creature, and something else. It puts those 2, and then they attack me, and I only have about 6 health, so the 1 Crawworm is enough to just kill me outright. And I'm supposed to take one of my monsters and assign it to block the Crawworm. That should finish the tutorial. The first time, I had 1 tapped creature I could not use to block. The second time, I had no creatures. The third time was the same as the first time, and then I uninstalled the game. That's just an embarrassment as far as this game shipped. I mean, this game was put on Steam in this state, or did this bug come later and they just assumed people wouldn't bother with the tutorial, which is the only way to get to the campaign mode, which is the only way I was going to have fun. I'm not going to go online and get my ass whooped by, pardon my language, by these Magic players that have custom built decks to just destroy me within a few minutes, a few turns. No, I'm not doing that. That wasn't what I wanted. So after that, I said 3 strikes, you're out, and I uninstalled the game. I ended up playing a game I picked up during the Steam sale called Cat's Quest, which is pretty entertaining. It pokes fun at Skyrim and a lot of other adventure RPG, action RPG kinds of games, but it's very colorful and it's very cute and simple and pretty fun. I don't know if I'm going to keep playing it, but I played it for a few hours. But between my woes with Magic and having fun with cats, I actually spent most of my day doing something else. So I've talked a little bit on this channel about my D&D campaign setting that I've been working on. Well, I've had an idea of what the world looks like in my head for some time now, but making maps is a real chore. It's very hard, even with a really high-end graphics program. You really have to sort of be an artist in a lot of ways in order to make an effective or attractive looking map. Well, I found something called Incarnate. A friend on the Discord server keyed me in on this one. And this is what I made. Not bad, huh? Not bad at all. So the 4 major kingdoms are as such. This is the Republic of Cordinos. And then up here, and including a few other little islands, is the Samari Commonwealth. They used to be part of the Republic, but they split off. They used to be colonies, actually, of the Republic, but they split after a War of Independence and a self-governing movement. This inner area here that's sort of ring-shaped is called the Icon Union, and it's mostly elves up here, humans and Drow or dark elves in the deserts, and then orcs and a handful of other races and more humans on the southern area, with at least one of these islands is a gnomish island. And then way over here, these 3 islands that form sort of a continent of sort are Ryukina, or the Vale of 3 Kingdoms. Ryukina is a human settlement. These, which I haven't given proper names to, are a halfling community and a community of fauna folk, which are animal-like beings. And I'm really happy with this. As you can see, it has a lot of different colors. I've tried to make the Badland mountainy areas red, the really cold areas white, the deserts are sandy yellow, and then the rest of the areas are brown and green, depending on how much vegetation they have. And you can see I've put a lot of little lakes and rivers. The area where the elves live here has a bunch of big trees, and those are actually to scale on this map. They're huge. And then every now and then you see a single really large mountain, and those are see, there's one down here. I don't remember where it was. I can't see it from here. Anyway, those mountains are big deals. They are some dangerous areas where the fiercest creatures live. Not something for first level characters. Anyway. I can try and, I will put a link to the site where I did this below. It has a pay service that you can buy into with a pretty reasonable rate of like $25 a year. I think I would pay for a single year subscription and not renew if I really wanted to get into some of these features. But this is something that I could use to finally make a map of Daigaia, which is the world from my book. And I've been meaning to do that for quite some time, but I don't know. I've been sort of out of Daigaia. I've been much more into this Dynostria campaign setting. I know D's. It's not like I love naming everything with D's. It just worked out. Those two particular names meshed really well with me. And when I find a name that I really like, I try and stick with it. So, I'm over 10 minutes and I got to show off my cool map. So I'm going to call that a day. I'm Eric Spornitz and tomorrow will be better.